Hey guys, Joe here, and as you can tell by my sunglasses, I'm 80% cooler than I was 5 minutes ago. I'm a bit of a gun enthusiast, so when I find guns that are interesting or special, I want to check them out, and a lot of times I wind up buying them. Well, today's tabletop is going to be on one that I saw a little while ago, about a year ago, on YouTube for the first time, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I wonder if those are going to become available anytime soon in our area, and lo and behold, one did. And as you saw from the thumbnail, it's this one. First thing is, we'll drop the mag, open the action, and show you that it is clear. What I have in my greasy little mitts is a Smith & Wesson 4006 TSW California Highway Patrol trade-in. It's a long-winded way of saying this was a CHP's gun. Now, this shares a lot of similarities with the 59 series and the 39 series, but it does have some distinct features. As you know, these are chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson. Weird, 40 Smith & Wesson in a 40 Smith & Wesson. But these do have a long and storied history with the California Highway Patrol. And up until the middle of 2017, you actually couldn't get these because they were still in service. They were finally retired in 2017. They went back to 9 mils, so these started coming up. And one of the distributors called us and said another company didn't take it, and we want it, and we was like, yeah. So let's go ahead and we'll turn you around, put you in front of the tabletop, and we will do a tabletop. So this is how it came to us. As you can see, it's in a plain white box. The box can be a little bit different from time to time, but it's usually going to be something plain like this. Has a serial number on the side, and that's it. You open up the box, there's usually some kind of cushioning, and you will get the firearm and 3 magazines, because that's what they were originally issued with. Let's go ahead and take the gun out of the box again, show you that it is clear, nothing in it. And let's set it down here. So the Smith & Wesson 4006 TSW, the TSW stands for Tactical Smith & Wesson 40 TSW, and it has a lot of differences from the standard units. Number one is the most obvious thing, and that is the integrated front rail. On the 59 series and the 39 series, this is not actually integrated. It's a piece that's usually drilled, tapped, and bolted into the front dust cover. And I'll insert a picture here. Otherwise, they are very similar. Another difference is on the 4006. This is not just a safety, it is also a safety decocker with a spring in it. So once you decock the pistol, it will go back into its fire position, thus making it ready to fire. This gun is double action, single action. However, it has a magazine disconnect, so if you do want to practice dry fire or using snap caps, you do need a magazine. This is an all stainless steel gun. It weighs a lot. It is 41 ounces dry. It is a very nicely finished firearm. As you can see, the quality, it has a very nice checkering on the front strap. The grip, this is a Gen 3 gun, so it has a wraparound plastic polymer style grip. If you're used to a polymer gun, you can hear it sounds like a polymer gun, so the stippling in it is fine. I can get a nice grip on it. Feels good in the hand. Another difference between the 59 series is that this one has a bobbed hammer. This is designed so you can't accidentally snag it, and it will also sit in the holster nice and flush. Sights are a traditional 3-dot. Sorry, trying to get it there. With an actual Novak rear sight. As you can see, it actually is a true Novak. Now, a lot of guns have a Novak style, but not all of them have a true Novak sight. It is dovetailed in, front and rear. There are other sight options, but I kind of like this picture. The only thing I might do if it was mine, more on that later, is I might change the front sight out for a fiber optic. Other than that, I like the sight picture. I like the way this gun feels in my hand. It's a double stack mag. However, because it is a 40 Smith & Wesson, it only holds 11 rounds. One thing that Smith & Wesson did to make sure that you can't accidentally put the wrong mag into a 9mm gun is they added this bump on the front of the magazine. So if you try to insert this magazine into a 9mm gun, it will not go in. However, you can put a 9mm mag into a 40-06. The model number actually denotes the caliber, so 40 cal, and the last digit denotes whether it is an aluminum frame or a steel frame. A 3 would be a aluminum frame. The 6 indicates this is a steel frame. And I haven't shot this gun yet, but I'm anticipating that this all steel frame and all the weight in this gun is going to mean that it will have less noticeable recoil impulse than if this was an aluminum framed or polymer framed 40 cal. Let's go ahead and strip it down and take a look at it and see what it's all about. It is a Browning style system, so you do have a slide lock or a slide cross pin. What you need to do is first rack the slide to get the hammer back, and then you're going to pull the slide back until the slide lock area is even with the pin. So once you've started it, you can flip it over and just pull that out. That shouldn't have been that hard, but I'm doing it at a weird angle on camera, so filming, man. At that point, slowly release it and you can push it off the end of the frame. The hammer did drop on it that time. It isn't supposed to happen, but I must have had my finger up here on one of the two bars. We will get back to the frame in a moment. Taking a look at the slide, again, as I said, it's a very typical tilting action style. You do have a all steel guide rod and spring. I'm going ahead and take that out. It's under a lot of pressure, so be very careful. It's not captive, so you could accidentally go and fling that across the room. Your barrel, just like a Glock or a CZ, you just tilt it forward and then pull it out of the back. It does use a cam setup for the tilt versus other ones where it's a link system. It does have one big lug across the top, which meets up with the lug inside of the frame. From there, it's pretty typical. You do have, again, your safeties, much like a Beretta. It's on the slide, and it's actually a hammer block when it's actually engaged. So right there, it would block it from actually allowing the hammer to hit the striker. It does have a drop safety in it, so you could drop it without having to fear setting it off. Now again, don't forget, these are police trade-ins. This is a later one, being a 5309 serial number, so it was probably issued later, but it's in very, very good condition. You can see down inside the slide there, there's no wear on it that I can see appreciably. Same goes for the barrel. It looks very clean. A little bit of wear there, but that happens on a lot of guns after only 100 rounds. The end of the barrel is kind of crowned because what they had to do was make a 40 cal barrel fit inside the space of a 9mm. What that meant was they had to taper down the barrel. It should be as thick as back here where the lug is, and they were able to just flare out the end of the slide, and that allowed them to flare out the end of the barrel. This also actually aids in accuracy in this gun because it ensures a very tight fit at the front of the firearm. One thing I want to point out, this actually has a double rail system. It has the integrated rails like most of the 1911s and most handguns have, but here at the end it also has an inverted rail system, much like a CZ. And you can see on the frame a set of rails in the dust cover, as well as these rails in the frame. So it actually is a double rail system, which again should aid with accuracy and hopefully with recoil impulse. Yeah. So taking a look back here, you have all your components here. You have your hammer. You have a couple of different controls, including that. Sorry, that was hard to do on camera, but as you can see, there's 3 separate bars, and this one here is actually the one, or the second one here. This second one that's sticking up there is actually your magazine disconnect, and I'm not a fan of magazine disconnects in a personal carry weapon, but I understand why they did it for the police. Again, fit and finish inside the frame itself is exceptional. You can see they did a little bit of lightening inside of there, even though the dust cover is extremely thick. Being all stainless components, it's very well finished. There are a couple of mold injected metal components, and that would be the hammer and the trigger. Other than that, it's all forged pieces. So that's your field stripped Smith & Wesson 40 Tactical. Let's go ahead and put it back together. To put it back together, it's the exact opposite. You go ahead and take your barrel, drop it in, slide it back till it engages. Once it's in there completely, you can go ahead and take your recoil spring and guide rod. Be very careful. Again, this thing is sprung very heavily, and you actually have to move it quite a bit to engage it. So you need to get it down to the second pedestal where there's a notch cut out for the edge of the spring. The front of the guide rod will be flush with the front of the slide. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and take your firearm and start the rails, but don't just jam it back, because as you see when you come back, you start interfering with the bars on the gun. And you will actually need the hammer in the down position for this next part, but as you bring it back, go ahead and start slowly dropping these bars down one at a time. This last one can be a pain in the butt, so what I do is I will take the cross pin actually and hold them all down while letting the slide come home. Once again, hard to do when I'm trying to do it on camera, but there you go. Once you have those cleared, you can go ahead and rack the slide all the way back to reset the hammer, but don't let the slide go all the way, otherwise you're going to undo everything you just did. You're going to want to realign so that the notch there is even with the ring. Take your cross pin, go ahead and put it right in there. Kind of wiggle it in there. There you go. And as you can see, it popped right in. And release. Because it has a magazine disconnect, I'm going to have to do this. And you can test fire it. Make sure you have full functionality and you are ready to go back to firing. I have to say that I think the California Highway Patrol is probably one of the last police forces to go ahead and start trading in their firearms and allow them to become commercially available. I appreciate that they did that. I guess the main thing you're wondering is, why does he have this one? Well, the main reason I have this one here right now is because I'm thinking about replacing this one. I don't have a ton of money, so right now I can't exactly just buy every gun I want. Although you guys getting me over 1,000 means monetization is coming, so in the future I'll be able to buy extra firearms. But if I decide to buy this Smith & Wesson, I'm going to have to trade in my Taurus. This is the Taurus G2C 9mm double stack. This holds 12 plus 1. You've seen the video on it. If not, go up there and check it out. Both the tabletop and the first 100 are on the Jiminy Shoots playlist. Before we get going, I will show you empty, nothing in it, because I want to do a size comparison. Again, empty. And when you look at these two pistols side by side, they're actually not that different. The grips are longer, of course, on the 40 Smith & Wesson, but when you actually put them on top of each other, they're close enough to where you could conceivably carry the Smith & Wesson without it being too uncomfortable. I did try it in my conceal holster and it does fit. It does print a little bit, but you also got to keep in mind this has a finger extension on it, so the overall length with the extension on it is actually the same length at the bottom of the grip. It's just the Smith & Wesson goes all the way back. It's kind of like a 43X situation versus a 43. The barrel, there's nothing I can do about that. This has a 4-inch barrel, this has a 3.2-inch barrel. I was initially thinking about getting a 9mm 1911 for my carry, but when this gun came up, it was like, wow, that's pretty cool. That would be a nice one to have some fun with. So I went ahead and grabbed this one for my test drive this weekend to see if I enjoy it. And if I really enjoy it, then more than likely I'm going to trade in the Taurus towards it. Otherwise I'd have to put it on layaway and make payments on it, and I haven't decided which way I want to go. Leave that in the comments if you would trade it in or if you would just keep both. And what's going to happen is I'm taking this one out to the range tomorrow, and I'm going to put about 100 rounds through it with my buddy Daniel, and we're going to see how she does. And that's going to determine whether or not I actually buy it. It's not a test and evaluation, it's more of a test drive. So come along for that one. I will make sure to put it in the Jiminy Shoots playlist. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you aren't subscribed, click the bell icon. You'll get notified. I do videos every Monday and Friday with a quick one on Wednesdays. Most weeks, can't always guarantee that. And I will make sure to get another one up this week. And as always, I'll talk to you later.